All right, welcome back everybody for another deep dive.
Yeah.
Today we're going to exploring a really interesting idea in the world of Odoo.
Yeah.
And this is all about maximizing the impact of your Odoo implementations.
Yes.
But here's the catch. It's about doing less to achieve more.
Interesting.
I know, right? Have you ever heard the phrase, the best code is the code you don't write?
I have, yes. It's a bit counterintuitive, isn't it?
It is, but that's exactly the philosophy we're going to unpack today.
Okay.
Get ready because this could be a game changer for your Odoo projects.
Yeah.
So before we jump into the how-to, let's make sure we're all on the same page with the fundamentals.
Absolutely. That's crucial.
So when we talk about Odoo development,
Yeah.
what exactly are we talking about?
So I think it's important to go back to the basics here, back to the very definition of development versus specification.
Okay.
So development, think of it like building a custom kitchen.
Okay.
The development is the crafting of those cabinets and countertops, the hands-on coding part.
Right.
But specification, on the other hand, is like that blueprint, the detailed blueprint that the architect creates.
Oh, got it.
It outlines exactly what gets built, where it goes, how it all functions together. Without that clear specification, your development team is basically working blindfolded.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Yeah. And that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
That's how you end up with budgets spiraling out of control, a system that's a complete nightmare to maintain, and you end up with features that don't actually solve the actual problem.
And we've all seen those projects, right?
Exactly.
So, all right, let's say we've got our blueprint, we've got our spec. How do we make sure we're building the right kitchen, or in this case, the right Odoo solution for our specific needs?
Right.
Because clients often come to the table with this massive list of features they want. How do we separate the must-haves from the nice-to-haves?
Yeah, that's it. And that's where distinguishing between, what you truly need versus what you just kind of desire, that's critical.
Yeah.
And one technique that comes in really handy here is the 5 whys. Super simple tool, but really, really powerful.
Okay. I've heard of the 5 whys, but how does that work in practice? Can you give me a real-world example?
Yeah, absolutely. Imagine you're working with a client and they say, I absolutely need a customized sales report in Odoo.
Right.
Okay, first, why?
Rinse.
Why do you need that?
Right.
And they might say, well, because the standard report doesn't show me the data in the way I need it.
Okay.
Okay, why?
Second why.
Second, why? And they might say, well, I'm actually struggling to analyze sales trends for these very specific product categories. Yeah. And then you ask why a couple more times, you really drill down. And it might turn out that the real need here, the root of it all, is actually better data visualization. And guess what? Odoo's standard dashboard, the features that are already built in, they might actually be able to handle that perfectly. No custom coding required.
Right. So the 5 whys, it's like peeling back the layers of an onion,
Yeah, exactly.
You get to the heart of what the real issue is. And that's a great way to avoid, like you were saying, jumping into this custom development when Odoo have something that could work already.
Absolutely. And this brings us to another very critical point. Odoo comes packed with this really rich set of features right out of the box.
It does. It does.
It's like walking into a fully stocked professional kitchen, Why would you start baking a cake from scratch when you have, perfectly good cake mixes and all the tools you need?
It makes sense. Yeah.
So before you even think about custom development, just explore Odoo's standard functionality.
Yeah.
And if it needs just like a little tweaking, a little adjustment, that's where Odoo Studio comes in.
Right.
It's a fantastic tool.
It is.
You can customize views, you can add fields, you can even automate whole workflows without a single line of code.
Yeah, it really is powerful what you can do with Studio.
It's like having this magic wand, You can tweak the system, make it fit perfectly.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got our needs crystal clear. We've looked at all those pre-built amazing features Odoo has to offer. But what if we hit a wall and custom development really is the only way forward? How do we make sure that that process doesn't turn into a chaotic mess?
Well, this is where the minimum viable product, or MVP, approach comes in.
Okay, the MVP.
Instead of trying to build that entire dream kitchen all at once, start with the bare essentials.
Right.
Give me a functional stove, a sink, a countertop. You get those core elements working perfectly first, and then you can build from there. This allows you to gather feedback really early on.
Oh, yeah, that's important.
Make sure you're on the right track.
Yeah.
And you don't want to waste time building bells and whistles you don't actually need.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
So start small, get the feedback, and then build iteratively. Okay, so we've got our MVP plan ready to go, but I can tell you from my own experience that even with the best laid plans, things can go off the rails if communication isn't clear. I'm thinking back to that time we tried to renovate our bathroom.
Oh, construction horror stories, yeah.
It was a nightmare. We've all been there, right?
We've all been there.
So how do we avoid that in the world of Odoo implementations?
Well, clear communication, for one,
Right.
but visual aids as well.
No.
Think flowcharts, diagrams, mock-ups, anything that really paints a clear picture of how the system's going to work.
Yeah, I love visuals. They make such a difference.
They do. And don't forget about collaborative workshops.
Oh, yeah.
Get everyone, the client, analysts, developers, get them all in the same room early on.
Get everyone on the same page from the beginning.
Exactly. It's like, a family deciding on a house remodel. Everyone needs to be on board. Everyone needs to have the same vision.
Right, because otherwise you end up with this bathroom that nobody likes.
Exactly.
Okay, so visuals and those collaborative workshops, that's how we avoid that broken telephone game, where the message gets all garbled along the way. So everyone hears the same clear message right from the start.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got that communication piece nailed down. We're moving into the development phase. Are there any questions that we should be asking ourselves during the development to make sure things stay on track?
Yeah, absolutely. At every step of the way, you constantly want to be asking yourselves these crucial questions, these guiding questions.
Okay, give me those questions.
The first one, what's the real reason? What's the real why behind this need?
Okay.
Can we just tweak Odoo's standard features to make it work?
Right.
Do we all agree on the specs down to the last detail?
It's important.
And here's the big one. Could this custom code we're writing break Odoo's core logic? Because this is where things can get really tricky.
Okay, how so?
So imagine you're modifying the inventory system to automatically reorder products based on, say, sales forecasts, right?
Okay, yeah.
But what if your customization, what if it doesn't account for, I don't know, existing purchase orders?
Right.
What could happen? You end up with duplicate orders.
Oh.
You've got a warehouse overflowing with stuff you don't need.
That's a logistical nightmare.
Exactly. So understanding how that custom code interacts with Odoo's core logic, super, super crucial.
Yeah, make sure those systems can talk to each other. What other questions should we be asking ourselves?
Is it really worth the time and resources? Have we tested it? Every single use case, especially those edge cases, those weird ones, because they're the ones that always trip you up.
They do. Yep.
And here's one that's often overlooked.
Okay.
But is this functionality documented well enough that anyone picking up this project later on can understand it?
That's a good point. Yeah.
Because it's like building a house with secret passageways and hidden rooms.
I love that analogy.
If those aren't on the blueprints, good luck finding your way around.
Right. You get lost. So,
Okay.
yeah, documentation is key. It's got to be clear, easy to follow.
Exactly. And Odoo actually has a really good tool for this, the Odoo Knowledge app.
Oh, the Knowledge app, yeah.
Lets you create structured documentation that's searchable, it's easy to maintain. So future developers aren't left completely in the dark.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive into Odoo implementations, the message is clear. Less is often more. Before you go headfirst into custom code, explore all those other avenues first.
Remember, sometimes the most elegant, most effective solutions are the simplest ones. Sometimes the best code, it's the code you don't write.
Very powerful stuff. Now, here's a final thought I'll leave you with. How can you apply this 5 whys technique to your own work, even outside of Odoo? It's an amazing tool for getting to the root of any problem and then finding the simplest, most effective solution.
Yeah, try it.
Thanks for joining us for another deep dive. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.